He was herding sheep, not praying, not fasting, not seeking God, not even thinking about God, just leading a flock through the desert the way he had done every day for 40 years. Same sand, same sun, same silence. Nothing was different about this Tuesday. And a bush caught fire. Not struck by lightning, not touched by a torch. It caught fire from inside. And the fire burned, but the bush did not burn up. The branches were not consumed. The leaves did not blacken. The fire lived in the bush without destroying it, as if the fire was not attacking the bush, but inhabiting it. Moses had not asked for this, had not prayed for a sign, had not gone to a mountain seeking a vision. He was at work, doing his job. 80 years old, 40 years removed from Egypt, 40 years of sand and sheep and silence and the slow forgetting of a man who used to be someone and is now no one. And God interrupted his commute. Nobody called. God just came. Because God does not wait for an invitation. He does not need you to be in the right posture or the right location or the right spiritual condition. He shows up at burning bushes on work days, on roads you are walking because you gave up, on rocks you are sleeping on because you ran away, and beside wells you cannot see because you stopped looking. If you have stopped praying, if the calling stopped and the seeking ended and the fire went out a long time ago, this is for you. Because 4 times in the Bible, God showed up when nobody asked him to. Nobody prayed, nobody fasted, nobody was in the temple, nobody was ready, and he came anyway, uninvited, unannounced, because he wanted to. Word for word from the scriptures. The first one, the bush that interrupted a workday. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. The far side of the wilderness. As far from civilization as a person can walk. The edge of nowhere. The place you take sheep when every other pasture is dry. Moses was not on a pilgrimage. He was at the end of the grazing options. The holiest moment in the Old Testament happened at the bottom of a shepherd's route map. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. I will go over and see. Curiosity. Not faith, not expectation. Curiosity. The same impulse that makes you look at a car accident or a rainbow or anything that does not fit the pattern of a normal Tuesday. Moses did not approach the bush because he recognized God. He approached because the fire was weird. And God used weird to get his attention. Because sometimes holiness does not look like holiness. It looks like something that does not add up. A fire that does not consume. A problem that does not destroy. A season that should have killed you but somehow left you standing. And the not adding up is the invitation. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. When the Lord saw. God waited until Moses turned, until curiosity moved his feet. God did not shout from the bush while Moses was facing the other way. He waited for the turn, for the step toward, for the I will go see. And then he called the name, twice. Moses, Moses. Because God does not force the encounter. He sets the bush on fire and waits to see if you will turn. Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. The ground was holy. Not a temple, not an altar. The ground. The same sand Moses had been walking on for 40 years. The same dirt the sheep had been standing on 5 minutes ago. Holy. Not because the geography changed, because the presence arrived. Any ground becomes holy ground when God shows up on it. Your kitchen, your car, your office, your 3 a.m. bedroom. It is all holy ground the moment the bush ignites. If you are on the far side of the wilderness, if the career is shepherding and the ambition is dead, And the Egypt chapter was 40 years ago. Hear Moses. God does not need you to seek him. He sets bushes on fire on your commute. The curiosity is enough. The turn is enough. The I will go see is the only step that is required. And the ground you have been walking on your whole life is about to become the holiest place you have ever stood. The second one. He walked beside them for hours. They told him about his own death. 2 of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking with each other about everything that had happened. The arrest, the trial, the beating, the cross, the death, the sealed tomb, and now, rumors. Some women went to the tomb. It was empty. Angels said he was alive, but nobody had seen him. The rumors were wild and the grief was heavy, and the 7 miles to Emmaus were the longest walk of their lives. As they talked and discussed these things with each other, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them, but they were kept from recognizing him. Jesus came up. He approached them. They did not call, did not pray, did not say, "Jesus, if you are alive, please show yourself." They were walking home, away from Jerusalem, away from the empty tomb, away from the place where resurrection might be happening. They were leaving, and Jesus caught up with them. On the road away, he walked with them for hours, 7 miles, at walking pace, 2 to 3 hours, of conversation, of listening to 2 men tell him about his own death. They described the crucifixion to the crucified. They explained the empty tomb to the one who emptied it, and he listened for hours, without correcting, without revealing, just walking beside them. On the road they were using to escape, he asked them, "What are you discussing?" He asked, as if he did not know. The same way God asked Adam, "Where are you?" Not for information, for invitation. Tell me, say it out loud. Describe what happened. Let me hear you process it with your own words, so that when I show you the truth, you will know what it replaced. They stood still, their faces downcast. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened there in these days? Are you the only one who does not know?" The irony is unbearable. They asked the main character if he knew the plot. They asked the resurrection if he had heard about the death. And Jesus, who had been dead, who had been buried, who had walked out of the grave that very morning, said, "What things? What things?" 2 words of divine understatement. What things? Tell me about the crucifixion. I am interested. And they did. They told God about God. Then he opened the scriptures. Walking on the road. Every prophecy about himself from Moses through all the prophets. The longest Bible study in history given on foot to 2 men by the subject of the study. And they still did not know it was him. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and began to give it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he disappeared from their sight. At the breaking, the bread broke, and the blindness broke, and the recognition flooded in, and he disappeared, gone, immediately, as if the recognition was the entire point, as if the hours of walking and teaching and listening were the warm-up for one moment, the breaking of bread. The gesture they had seen before, at the Last Supper, the same hands, the same motion, the same breaking, and the eyes opened, and he was gone. And they said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road?" Burning. Their hearts were on fire the whole time. They felt it, during the walk, during the teaching, the heat of proximity to the risen Christ. But they did not know what the burning was until the bread broke. The recognition came after the burning. The understanding came after the feeling. Which means you may have already encountered him on a road, in a conversation, in a feeling of unexplained warmth, and you did not know it was him, but your heart was burning. If you are walking away from Jerusalem right now, if the news is too confusing and the grief is too heavy and the road home feels like the only option, hear the Emmaus disciples. He is already walking beside you. He caught up miles ago, and the burning in your chest is not anxiety. It is proximity, and the bread is about to break. And when it does, you will realize he was there the whole time, on the road away, walking with you, uninvited, because he does not wait for you to come back. He joins you on the way out. The third one. He was running. God gave him a dream. Jacob was alone, at night, in the desert, running from Esau who wanted to kill him, running from home, running from the mess he had made. He had stolen a blessing and earned a death sentence, and the only direction available was away. He stopped for the night, found a stone, used it as a pillow, and fell asleep. Not in prayer, not in worship, in exhaustion. The sleep of a man who has run out of running for the day and will run more tomorrow. The sleep of a fugitive. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There above it stood the Lord, a stairway, from the rock where a thief was sleeping to the throne of heaven. Angels going up and coming down. Traffic, movement, activity. Heaven was not closed. Heaven was busy, and the busiest spot was directly above the rock where Jacob had placed his guilty head. And God said to him, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. I am with you. To a man who was running, who had lied, who had stolen, who was sleeping on a rock because he had no home and no future, and no right to expect anything from anyone, least of all God. And God showed up uninvited in a dream and said, I am with you, wherever you go, and I will bring you back. Jacob had not prayed, had not asked, had not sought God's face. He was asleep, and God came into the sleep. Because God does not need you to be awake, does not need you to be seeking, does not need you to be worthy or ready or even conscious. He shows up in the dreams of fugitives, on rocks that are not altars, in deserts that are not temples, because the presence does not require an invitation. It requires a person, any person, even a thief on a stone. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it. I was not aware. God was there before Jacob knew. The stairway was there before the dream showed it. The angels were ascending and descending before Jacob opened his sleeping eyes. The activity of heaven was happening over his head the entire time, and he did not know, until God decided to show him. If you are sleeping on a rock tonight, if you are running and the guilt is heavy and the ground is hard, hear Jacob. The stairway is already there, above you, right now. Angels ascending and descending. Heaven busy with your coordinates, and you do not see it yet. But you might tonight, in a dream, on a rock, uninvited, because God has been there the entire time. You just were not aware. The fourth one. The well was already there. She just could not see it. Hagar again, but the second time, years after El Roi, after the naming, after Ishmael was born and grew. Abraham sent her away, with bread and water, into the desert, and the water ran out. She put the boy under a bush. She went and sat down about a bow shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. A bow shot away. The specific distance of a mother who cannot watch her child die, but cannot leave him either. Close enough to hear, far enough not to see. The distance of unbearable love. the mathematics of a mother's grief. She sat there and began to sob. She did not pray. She sobbed. Not "God help me," not "Elroy, do you see me?" She sat in the sand and cried. The woman who had named God, who had said, "You are the God who sees me," could not find the words to call on that name. The pain was beyond language, beyond theology, beyond the capacity of a human mouth to form the syllables of a prayer. And God heard. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying." God heard, not her prayer, she did not pray, the boy's crying, the sound of a dehydrated child whimpering under a bush in a desert. That is what God heard. Not worship, not a psalm, not a carefully structured intercession. A child crying. And it was enough. It was more than enough. Because God does not need your prayer. Sometimes he responds to the sound your pain makes when your mouth cannot form a word. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. Opened her eyes. The well was already there. She did not see it. The water she needed, the water that would save her son, was already in the ground, steps away, the whole time. While she sobbed, while she sat a bow shot from her dying boy, while the tears fell and the words would not come, the well was there. She could not see it because the grief had blinded her. And God did not create a well. He opened her eyes. The answer is already there, in the ground, near you. You cannot see it because the pain is blinding, and the tears are thick, and the grief has closed your eyes. But the well is dug, the water is waiting, and God is about to open your eyes. Not create a miracle, reveal one that has been there the whole time, steps away, while you were sobbing. If you cannot see the answer, if the desert is empty and the child is dying and the water is gone and you have sat down to wait for the end, hear Hagar, open your eyes, not figuratively, literally. Look around. The well is already there. God does not need to create your rescue. He needs to open your eyes to the rescue that is already in the ground, steps away, waiting, while you were crying. Father, I bring before you every person who stopped calling, the one on the far side of the wilderness doing their job, set a bush on fire, on their commute, on their Tuesday, in their nothing special afternoon, and when they turn to look, call their name, twice. The one walking away from Jerusalem, catch up, walk beside them, for hours, let them tell you about your own death, and break the bread, and let the recognition flood and disappear, leaving only the burning. The one sleeping on a rock. Send the dream, the stairway, the angels, the "I am with you," into the sleep of a fugitive who did not ask. Because you do not need an invitation. You need a person, the one sobbing a bow shot from their dying child. Open their eyes, not to a new well, to the well that is already there. The one they could not see through the tears, steps away, the whole time. Lord, I stopped calling a long time ago. I stopped praying, stopped seeking, stopped expecting. The bush went out, the road led away. The rock became my bed, and the water ran out. And I thought, if I stop calling, he stops coming. But Moses was not calling when the bush burned. The Emmaus disciples were not calling when you caught up. Jacob was not calling when the stairway appeared. Hagar was not calling when the well was revealed. You do not need my invitation. You need my attention. The turn toward the bush, the breaking of bread, the opening of eyes. The moment I stop staring at the sand and look up and see that the well was here the whole time. I am looking up now, and the bush is burning, and I was not aware. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. If you stopped calling and he came anyway, leave one word. Burning, as in the bush was burning the whole time, and I just turned around. I read every single one, and subscribe so you do not miss the next one. We publish prayers and scripture readings every week. Whatever you are walking through, you do not have to walk through it alone.